Good morning, class. As the series of the different criticism, we will tackle about the archetypal criticism. Archetypal criticism is a form of analysis based on the identification and study of recurring symbolic and mythic patterns. Carl Jung was Sigmund Freud's student. His theory of archetypal emerged in part from Freud's early work. Carl Jung took psychoanalysis in a different direction. Instead of looking into individual people's heads to understand human behavior, he looked at human imagination and shared experience to explain behavior. While Freud viewed the unconscious as a storehouse for repressed desires and emotions, Jung believed that it had a second layer. This one is a deeper, more universal shared memory, common to the whole human race. He called this the collective unconscious. Jung used the Greek word archetype to describe these contents. Our psychic archetypes are recurring patterns of images, symbols, themes, and stories that help us make sense of our lives. According to Jung, wisdom, creativity, and good mental health are present only when we are in harmony with the archetypes and universal symbols found in the collective unconscious. Myths do more than express ancient forms of religion and primitive science. They used stories to present guidance and proper ways to behave in society and offer insight into inevitable milestones in life. Since ancient times, people have turned to stories to help them understand and cope with life. Joseph Campbell said, "Myths deal with a great human problem. I know what to do when I came to the threshold in my life now. A myth can tell me about it, how to respond to a certain crisis of disappointment or delight or future or success. Myths tell me where I am." Perhaps the most interesting aspect of myths is how similar they are across culture and eras. Although every society has its own stories, there are intriguingly similar patterns with recurring elements, including symbols, motifs, story, arcs, and themes that elicit similar response and meanings. Myths do much of their work at symbolic and metaphoric levels because they deal with issues that transcend logic. Instead, they are dramatic representation of the deep instinctual life of humankind. For example, the ancient Greeks saw the sun's progress across the sky as Helios, the sun god's daily ride across the sky in a blinding bright chariot. However, the story does more than explains the natural cycles. It expresses our unconscious sense of the way that heroes rise and fall in a similar patterns. Canadian scholar Northrop Frye proposed the idea that the main appeal of literature was its connection to primitive story formulas. He claimed that literature is a kind of displaced methodology that consistently results to the same patterns that we see in ancient myths. In literature, we can often identify archetypal geographics like a Garden of Eden or a Helios wasteland, character types like heroes and villains, story aspects like journeys or monster slaying, and themes like good versus evil. There are many different ways of classifying archetypal story patterns, but whichever patterns you look at, archetypal criticism gives perspective to our lives. Why is archetypal criticism used? The job of archetypal criticism is to identify those mythic elements that give a work of literature this deeper resonance. By their universality, myths seem essential to human culture. However, many modern folks view myths as mere fables, expressing ancient forms of religion or primitive versions of science. Who invented archetypal criticism? Of course, psychologist Carl Jung. The concept of archetype is a venerable philosophical principle that came into new prominence and usage in the 20th century with the development of archetypal literary criticism through the stories of psychologist Carl Jung and literary theorist Northrop Frye. There are many different ways of classifying archetypal story patterns, but whichever patterns you look at, archetypal criticism gives perspective to our lives.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Charlene Joybo Media, and by continuing the report of Ms. Saburiki, I will be going to report to you about the literary text about our topic, which is archetypal criticism. My chosen story is the original comic story of Superman. It was written by Mr. Jerry Siegel and Mr. Joey Shuster. Superman was born on the fictional planet Krypton and was named Kal-El. As a baby, his parents sent him to Earth in a small spaceship. Moments before Krypton was destroyed in a natural cataclysm, his ship landed in the American countryside near the fictional town of Smallville. He was found and adopted by farmers Jonathan and Martha Kent, who named him Clark Kent. Clark developed various superhuman abilities such as incredible strength and impervious skin. His adoptive parents advised him to use his abilities for the benefit of humanity, and he decided to fight crime. To protect his personal life, he changes into a colorful costume and uses the alias Superman when fighting a crime. Clark resides in the fictional American city of Metropolis, where he works as a journalist for the Daily Planet. Superman's supporting characters include his love interest and fellow journalist Louis Lane, Daily Planet photographer Jamie Olsen, and editor-in-chief Perry White, and enemies such as Brainiac, Darkseid, General Zod, and his archenemy Lex Luthor. So, si Superman halin sa planet Krypton. Tapos, before siya naadto sa may planet Earth, ang planet nila nga, which is planet Krypton, gitret to nga igubon. So, ang tatay kag nanay ni Superman naghimo sang paraan para maligtas siya. So, ginpasakay nila sa may small rocket ship si Superman para makahalin sa ilang planeta. So nagland ang rocket ship ni Superman dito sa may planet Earth. So, may nakakita siya nga mag-asawa nga Mr. and Miss Kent. So, ginampon nila si Superman kay wala sang may nakakilala sa iya or may nag-angkon nga bata niya to. So, gipangalan nila nga Clark Kent. So, tong nagdako si Superman na develop iyang powers. So, nag-disguise siya as a journalist dito sa ginaobrahan niya which is Metropolitan. So, may ara man siya nga kaupod nga co-worker niya nga si Luis. So, isa man siya ka-journalist. So, one day, may nagpadala sa office nila sang letter nga daw threat nga gubon ang planet. So, ang nagpadala sa to kay tong scientist nga or tong mad scientist. Tong mad scientist gusto niya gubon tong planet Earth by tong sa iyang experiment kay tong sa mga nagkadlaw sa iya kag naghambal nga full. So, tong si upod ni Superman nga si Luis nga co-journalist na Japon nag-adto dito sa may lugar sa tong mad scientist kay gusto niya mangita sang information or i-interviewhon. So, bago siya nag knock sang sa pertahan sa balay sa tong mad scientist, why siya kabalo nga atong scientist nagahulat na dito sa may sa may kilid sang pertahan. Tapos pag abri niya, nabutong niya dayon tong si Luis. Amo to gikulong niya. So wala na dayon tong pagguba sang mad scientist sa planet Earth kay gipugnan ni Superman before magland tong powers niya sa may lupa mismo sang Earth. So ginpugnan niya kag ginpabalik dito sa may mad scientist. Kag nadakpan tong mad scientist kag na priso. I choose this story because Superman or Clark Kent possess the value of being a brave because he sacrificed himself in order to save some people and the planet.
So good day everyone. For the continuation of our discussion, I will discuss one type of archetypal movie. I choose the Dark Knight movie.
Where do we begin? A year ago, these cops and lawyers wouldn't dare cross any of you. I mean, what happened?
So what are you proposing?
It's simple. Kill the Batman. Here's my card.
Bruce, this is Harvey Dent.
Rachel's told me everything about you.
I certainly hope not. You once told me that we'd be together. Did you mean it?
Bruce, don't make me your only hope for a normal life.
You're Alfred, right?
That's right, sir.
Any psychotic ex-boyfriends I should be aware of?
Oh, you have no idea.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're tonight's entertainment. Well, hello, beautiful. You look nervous.
I've seen now what would have to become to stop men like him.
The night is darkest just before the dawn. I promise you, the dawn is coming.
And here we go. This city deserves a better class of criminal. I'm gonna give it to him. No! You'll see. I'll show you.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Be wanting the back putt, sir?
In the middle of the day, Alfred? Not very subtle.
The Lamborghini, then.
Much more subtle.
The Dark Knight is a 2008 superhero film directed by Christopher Nolan from a screenplay he co-wrote with his brother Jonathan. Based on the DC Comics superhero Batman, it is the sequel to Batman Begins 2005 and the second installment in the Dark Knight trilogy. The plot follows the vigilant Batman, Police Lieutenant James Gordon, and District Attorney Harvey Dent, who form an alliance to dismantle organized crime in Gotham City. Their efforts are derided by the Joker, an anarchistic mastermind who seeks to test how far Batman will go to save the city from chaos. Batman's origin story features him swearing vengeance against criminals after witnessing the murder of his parents Thomas and Martha as a child. A vendetta tempered with the ideal of justice, he trains himself physically and intellectually, crafts a Bat-inspired persona, and monitors the Gotham Street at night. One of the reasons why the Dark Knight holds up today as the best superhero movie because it is the most grounded and brilliant take on a real-life interpretation of not just Batman but a superhero. The point of the Dark Knight movie is about lies. It's about the lies we tell ourselves in order to live and to interact with other people. For Nolan, he sees deception not as an inherently malevolent, destructive force but as a tool. Batman is an archetypal hero because his story follows the hero's journey. He reflects our values today, and his characterization shifts over the decades to mirror our values.